You're listening to the PR Wind Down Podcast, the show for public relations professionals who are ready to see real change in the PR industry. We are your hosts, April White and Laura Schooler. Let's get ready to wind down. Laura, how have you been, besides eating a giant piece of pizza right at the beginning of our episode?
It's so good.
What kind of pizza is it? It looks cold.
It is now.
What kind of pizza was it? Because it's almost gone. Pepperoni. Margarita.
It's just a plain piece of Sicilian.
Just cheese. Sicilian. Looks very good. Does it mean you're off your fruit diet and onto your pizza diet?
Oh God, that was done over a year ago.
Wait, but I remember you eating so many fruits.
Well,
I mean, like all the
I can
fruits.
eat pizza and fruit.
So are you eating pizza and fruit now? Is that the new diet?
Yeah, it's not much of a diet.
I see. By definition, it's a diet because it's what you're eating. Yeah. Is it a diet
it's not like
to
a
lose
low
weight?
calorie. It's not like a low calorie diet.
No. Okay.
Well, I'll say this: I eat a lot of whatever. Most women my age are like, trying not to eat pizza and cupcakes, and I just eat pizza and cupcakes.
Well, good for you.
I guess.
Who gives a shit?
Makes me happy.
All right. I think that's a wrap for that one. I will let them in. And okay, here we come. Ready? I'm letting them in. We're good.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Megan Redzia and Patrick Brightman are the partners of 3E Public Relations and have been in the PR industry for a combined 50 plus years. Obviously, Megan has been in for one, and Patrick has been in for
Oh, wow. Thanks.
Yes.
We're so happy to have you. And I know that somebody I know referred you guys over to me.
Yes.
In April. I wanted to jump right in, and I know that it's a few areas that we wanted to talk about, but I want to start in the interest of sort of broadness and time and talk about the evolving landscape of PR. I've been in it for a very long time. And my joke, which is, I should probably get a new joke because I say it so much, is that I started in PR when, I was faxing press releases. And
you and me both, yeah.
You program the giant fax machine and then you'd be like, did you get the fax? Oh, you didn't get the fax? Oh, I'll resend the fax. Did you get the fax now? Oh, you did. Okay, you got the fax. I mean, I spent hours doing that kind of stuff.
So much faxing.
And all that paper on the rolls and the weird, remember it was like shiny paper?
Yeah, and you can't forget the noises the fax machine made.
Laura, you're dating yourself. Why
I know.
Dating yourself?
It's because I love myself. Oh, not that kind of dating. So
No, I mean, you could date yourself that way too.
April's my best audience.
And no judgments.
If you were me, wouldn't you want to date me?
I totally want to date you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
nice.
Of course.
So we wanted to talk to you very really about the evolving landscape in PR, digital, mobile, social, all of the different things that we all know about as PR people. And particularly, I want to see what you think, because this is something that I have faced as now somebody who's been doing it for so long. Do you think that training and mentoring and bringing, junior people up in the PR world so that they, become more experienced and knowledgeable and better PR people, do you think that has changed over the years? I mean, of course it's changed, but I don't mean, do you fundamentally think that it's changed?
I'll take it first, since I do have the 50 plus years of experience and Megan does have the one. So I think it does. It's had a dramatic effect, in my opinion. I started out my career as a journalist. I spent my first 3 years as a journalist. And so I cut my teeth learning how to write, learning what deadlines were all about, those types of things. When I was in college, my professors always talked to me about, you want to learn how to write, you want to learn PR, read a newspaper. Watch a television program, watch the news. That's how you're going to get better at this. And I think as time has evolved and the world has become more digital and focused a lot more on social, and if you look at the statistics about people, where they're getting their news from and how much of it is from social media, I think it's creating a challenge for young people coming into the world of PR as to how to write, how to tell a story completely, right? We're storytellers as PR people. So when they have this world where they've grown up in that's focused on snippets and real quick news gathering information, it makes it more difficult, I think, for them to tell that story.
Megan, what
I
do you
think
think?
too, I'm seeing in my 1 year that I've been in PR, I've been fortunate that I started my career where things were a little bit more traditional. And then I had the advantage of kind of growing in my role here pre-COVID and seeing the impact that the pandemic has had in terms of those junior level people. And
Yeah.
coming in, I think it's more than just the traditional training that we have to give and mentoring. It's really getting them accustomed to, building those face-to-face relationships, interacting with employees and clients. I think those were things that we all kind of learned not only in college but early in our careers, and they haven't had the advantage of learning that in their education. So there's more than just the traditional, listen, here's how we really do public relations in the real world, but there's a lot they need to learn in terms of that interaction even.
It is about, do they have that inherent ability to go the extra mile, to understand what it means to work and have that result be success?
Mhm.
And they're doing it for the right reasons. I think that's one of the things that we kind of look for, is that, why are you in PR? You're in it for the rush of securing that placement, right?
Yeah.
And you're into it to do the best job possible. You're not really doing it for awards. You're not really doing it for, notoriety necessarily, or for money. You're doing it for that rush, and you can only create that rush internally. So I think that still exists in people of all generations.
Mhm.
It's sometimes hard to find, though. I think that's where the struggle becomes.
So ultimately, where do you think that like the future of the industry is going, with these new challenges in bringing people up and training them?
You can only learn by failing from time to time. And I
Mhm.
think people need to understand that and recognize that. So
Mhm.
we have to continue to do that, and not be distracted by a lot of, like you said, social media or AI or all these other tools, quote unquote, that people think can help you do your job better. It still comes down to the interactions, as Megan said, with people, and creating relationships and developing
Mm.
those relationships. And you can only do that by experience and kind of talking to people and putting yourself out there. And that is half inherent and half learned.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think that it's communicating with your coworkers, with your clients, and with the media. What do you
Agreed.
say,
Yeah.
Megan?
I think we have to make a conscious effort to continually educate and to invest in that, to make sure that they're shadowing us, that we're guiding them on, like, to your point, Laura, the way you communicate with a client is a different way than you communicate with each other, or the way that you communicate with media, and putting them in situations, conferences, letting them attend speaking engagements, things where they can kind of learn that in real time rather than, just what their coursework and internship taught them.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other advice for young PR pros that are, looking to advance themselves in their careers? I know we're touching on it, but anything else that you want to add to that might be useful for the younger audience?
Yeah, I mean, depending on age group, I always tell people that I talk to that are interested in pursuing their career, that are still in college, to get as many internships as they can get. I
Yeah.
think,
That's
there's
good
so many
advice.
different sides of PR too, right? You can go in-house, you can go agency. There's just
Mm.
so many different aspects. You could focus on philanthropy, you can work with Fortune 500 companies. And so I think it goes beyond just choosing that you have a passion for PR and that's kind of the industry vertical you're going to go in. But
Yeah.
by doing different internships at different places, you can kind of see where you're going to thrive and what you're going to like. So if they're at that level, that's what I always say. And then when there are people that are early in their career, I always encourage them to listen to the senior people really do their jobs, right?
Yep.
We have some of our younger staff listen in on picking up phone calls. I know actually calling media is such a skill, and
Oh,
we've
geez.
secured top tier placements in recent months because we picked up a phone instead of just relied on email. And I don't think they have that skill. So really putting them where they can listen to a seasoned person do those kinds of things that they're not used to is advice
Well, it's
I always
amazing
give
that you
too.
like had the person's phone number, right? You can't, if you call an office, nobody's
Right.
sitting there anyway. So that's magical. But here's a question I have. Did
Magical.
did either of you know what PR was in college? Were you PR majors? I didn't even know what it was when I was in college. So it wasn't happening because I was in political track, and I did some internships. I was just talking about them
Wait,
yesterday, actually.
you're not that much older than me. There wasn't PR like as an option.
No.
What?
No,
Oh my God.
there wasn't even a journalism school. It was like communications, but it wasn't even in my mind. I was really more about like politics and government and stuff, which I did. And then that's sort of how I was like, oh, because PR was such a huge part of it, and that's how I ended up in PR. I worked in the press office for a couple of, just by accident.
Wait, so you're trying to ask them if they studied PR in college?
Yes. Did you study PR? Did you have PR internships, or did that not really exist?
When I went to college, no. There was not a PR course.
Yeah.
My degree is in communications as well. I worked on the college newspaper. My
You're like a
internships
journalist.
yeah, it's more like a journalism. That was
Ooh.
my track.
I
Yeah.
want to know. I want to know what the most interesting story you wrote as a college journalist
Oh,
was.
that's a good question.
Oh boy.
He's like, I don't remember.
I've never heard anyone ask him that question. That's a good one.
I can't even remember
thought
any
April
story I
was-
wrote in my
April was a
college
journalist,
newspaper.
too.
I
don't know
was
if that
also
says-
I was also writing for the college newspaper. Mine is very, very dark. Very, very dark. So
I'll have
I
to
don't-
get
I don't
back
think
you
I
on
wanna
that,
tell the
April.
story.
I don't know.
Okay.
I remember, so I'll try to fast forward a little bit. One of my first articles I wrote as a journalist was a controversial story, and it was a community newspaper, and I had to write an article. Someone just called me and was complaining about the situation that was happening at his child's school.
Mm.
And so I had to do the research. I called the principal, I called the teacher, I wrote this story, and I got both sides of the story like I was taught. And it was something where it was not a positive story at all for the school. And it was, like I said, a weekly newspaper. It came out on a Thursday. And I had to go to that school on that day for like an event that the
Oy.
school was having. And the principal came right up to me right as soon as I walked in, and he said, "You know what? I'm not going to say anything to you. It was at least you got my quote, and you at least got my side of the story." And he walked away, and I was like, "Oof."
Wow, that is
could've
not
been
where I
a
thought
lot
that story was
worse.
going.
No, that was a pretty
I
lucky.
was sure that you were going to say the candid.
They were like, get out.
No, he was. I
They're
was
like,
shocked.
Your story's garbage.
I can't. I think my knees were shaking the whole time as I watched him
my
come up to
God.
me. But
That's
I
terrifying.
did start to go to journalism school. That's funny. I like basically forgot that, but after I graduated college.
Okay, so we have a famous question for you. It's a choose your own adventure 2-part question. You can either ask us what you want to know about us or what you want us to answer, or you can answer or ask a question that you wish we would have asked you.
She's saying, is there something you want to
Wow.
ask us?
Yeah, just say it
Or
again. 'Cause
or
I
is
sound
there
like
something
shit.
we should have
Laura,
asked
try
you?
again.
Is there something you want to ask us, or is there something we should have asked you but didn't? Oh my God, April.
I love that one.
Like, April is not on drugs, but she may as well be.
A little Allegra, maybe. There's too much of it.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Let's go with that.
So I'll ask a question. I think because, focusing on the topic being kind of the future of public relations, I know Trust Relations does a lot of thought leadership programs as well. In April, I've seen that you're a TEDx speaker. So, my question to you would be, where do you guys see, with the media landscape changing as it has, where do you see thought leadership becoming a role in PR in the future?
Oh, it's a great question. Laura, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
No, this is all you. This is like
This is
your
all
sweet-
me?
This is your
Oh.
sweet spot.
This
So
is
get
my
your
s-
voice.
I didn't know I had a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with that. More and more and more important for all of the reasons. But I think everybody now is positioning themselves as a thought leader, and that is just becoming an absolute must as a baseline for being anybody in any industry, right? So it's like, if you don't start there, you don't have anywhere to go. It's sort of like, and I tell people, everybody asks about, should I start a podcast? Should I write a book? Yes and yes, but don't expect either of them to make you money, because that's a baseline. What you're doing is you're setting the foundation of your credibility. And then from there, you're going to be able to parlay that into, getting speaking opportunities, getting media opportunities, getting interviews. But that's just where you start, is having something interesting to say about the industry, having something of interest to say, And you also have to have something different to say, right? Because lots of people are out there saying all the same thing, and it sounds like they just went to Chat GPT and they like came up with their topic, and you're like, not, no, you have to. What's your idea, right? It's kind of funny. It's like I just got I had a photo shoot, and the photographer said to me, "Think a thought." Like that was at one point.
Any thought?
Were you like, what? I don't know how to do that.
I was like, that's not okay. But I was like, and then I knew what he meant, right? And it's just like it's a funny way of saying it, but like have a thought, right? You can't just be okay, cool. I'm gonna talk about everything everybody's already talking about.
Interesting.
Nobody wants to
Or
hear
like,
that.
or like I'm the whatever VP or president or whatever of this company, so people will just listen to me because I am this title of this company.
That's not.
I was thinking the same thing, Laura. We
That's
face
what
that
it
a
used to
lot.
be like. Yeah.
It used to
Yeah.
be, not anymore.
Yeah.
Now you have to be a disruptor, or you have to,
Or at least have a point of
or
view,
visionary,
right?
or at least, and don't pick a point of view just to be controversial, because
Right. It
we
has to be
actually,
authentic.
Lauren had a client that did that wanted to like,
Yeah.
okay, what if I pick something really controversial that's going to ruffle feathers? We're like, do you believe that? He's like, would it get us press? I'm like, that's not
Right.
do
And then he
that.
got mad at me when I started. Then I was like, we did a mock interview based on what he wanted to like put out there. So I was being the interview, like a media training scenario. And I was asking him tough questions that would have come up, and he got very angry at me. I was like, but this is what will happen.
Oh
Like,
my God.
you don't just get to say something and a reporter says, oh yes, we're going to write this down and write a story. And a lot of like clients don't get that, especially when they're not steeped in PR.
Yeah.
Right. And especially now, right, in 2023, where like people jump on a bandwagon so quick, and there's so much transparency out there that like if you don't really stand behind your message, someone's going to call it out real quick, probably before you're done speaking.
And you have to be consistent AF, right? You can't just pick, okay, today I'm going to talk about this thing that matters to me, and then I'm going to switch, because now they're calling people on pink washing, green washing. Like you can't just today I stand for something and tomorrow I don't. You know, you either have to go full on, I use these examples all the time, but you either have to go full on Ben and Jerry's, and you're like, everybody knows you're going to go that direction, or you have to go like full on My Pillow, right? Like you go like all the way the other direction.
And you have to be transparent about it, right? Because you have to, because the way the world is now, if you're not that way when the camera is off, so to speak, your employees know it, your
You'll get found
level
out.
management knows it, and they'll start shooting it out on their social channels and their personal manner, and then you're in trouble. And you can't recover from it.
And my controversial stand on that is that don't go in either direction if you don't want to stand behind it. There's no, I don't feel like the pressure that we're putting on brands right now to take a stand for stuff, I don't think that that's valid. So don't stand for something just because you're supposed to have a social value.
Like Bud Light. Have you been following that?
Yes, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna get a little bit heated about this, but why are you sending product to an influencer that clearly doesn't know what March Madness even is, right? Doesn't know any of the basketball teams that are playing in March Madness, probably doesn't even know that March Madness is basketball related.
Right.
And then making them do a social post. If you're going to do a full rebrand, cool, right? If you're going to have a whole
or a specific marketing campaign that like targets, you know, a certain
not just send product and be like, cool, will you make a post about March Madness? And then she gets on and she's like, I don't know any of the teams playing in March Madness. Like, why would you send her Bud Light to post that? Like,
well, they've certainly got a lot of media coverage for it, whether
well, they did accomplish that. They're all
well, then they compounded the problem, right? When they came out with their statement a couple of days later, and they didn't say anything at all, didn't even acknowledge what the controversy was about, and then now you have both sides upset with them. They're poor audience and the audience they're trying to gain. No one was happy.
Nobody was happy.
Yeah, well,
that's a good. We talk to clients about that across the board, though, when it comes to influencer marketing. That I think oftentimes people are even relying on, you know, dashboards to identify influencers, but that due diligence process and really finding that alignment is so important now. Otherwise you're going to get called out on it really fast.
Agreed. Completely.
Right. And it all goes back to what you said, April, like being authentic and you know, sticking with that, not just doing something, whatever is hot that day.
Don't just pick it. Yeah. It needs to be something you do and you're going to do forever, you know, not for the movement of the day or the movement of the month, you know? Anyway, with that, anything you want to plug that you've got going on, and then where can people find you?
You can find us at 3epr.com. Right now, we don't really have anything in particular that we're plugging. We just go to our website. You can learn more about Megan and myself and the rest of the team. And we just want to
Awesome.
thank you both for including us in your podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
Are you in New Jersey?
We're
We
in
are.
northern New Jersey, yes.
Laura's a Jersey, New York girl.
Oh, really?
I don't know which one she had like.
What?
Like
supports
currently in
more.
Jersey or currently?
No, I grew up in New Jersey, but
Okay.
I'm at the point where I've lived in New York longer than I lived in New Jersey.
All right, you guys, thanks so much. We appreciate you coming.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
again.
having us. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Oh, so we want to talk about the CEO for Miller Knoll.
It was pretty bad.
There were so many things that were like, from a PR standpoint, from a how to run a business, from so many different things. And she just reminded me of the worst, and I hate this, the worst women that I've ever worked for. And it just so upset me that I think, even though by the time this airs, it might be old news, I like need to get my emotion out, and I want to hear what you think about it.
Okay, so just to set the stage, so the CEO of Miller Knoll, Andy Owen, she essentially came out on an all-staff meeting and basically told everybody to stop worrying about whether they were getting their bonuses and to just do a good job. I mean, that's sort of the in summary, right?
Well,
Like,
she
what
had gotten a
happened?
huge multi-million-dollar bonus herself.
Wow, she had gotten a huge bonus herself, and her base salary is
She makes millions of dollars.
the number is outrageous. Let me just pull it up. She makes a base salary of her fixed salary is 1.1 million, and last year she made 3.9 million on top of her fixed salary because of her incentive-based compensation. And so she essentially got on this video and in this 75-minute town hall presentation told them that, they asked at the end of it about their bonuses and basically said, like, go fly a kite.
She said, don't live in Pity City or whatever.
She said, I had an old boss who said to me one time, you can visit Pity City, but you can't live there. So people leave Pity City. Let's get it done. Okay. Now I did think about this a bit. So It is a weird time in the world for executive CEOs, anybody who's under business pressure. Things are not going the way that we thought they were going financially. Things are not going the way we thought they were in the world with the recession, not recession. What the hell's going on? Is it a recession? Right. And so the financial pressures that people are under, especially as executives, are monumental. And I think, what you were anticipating the year was going to look like is not how it's looking. It's very high pressure scenario. I know a lot of executives who are under that kind of pressure end up getting very terse, short, and sensitive with people. And I think
insane, but go on.
And I think partly what happened is that she sort of leaned into her natural default to be a little bit overly insensitive, because what she's not thinking through is the audience that she's talking to are people who, if they don't get those bonuses, the financial pressures they're under, the ants underneath her as she's sort of, positioning them, which they are not, is, okay, if I don't get my bonus, I can't take the vacation I was going to take. I can't send my
mortgage.
I can't send my kids to that private school. I can't, whatever, right? Like there are all these other things that those people are up against. And there is something to be said for executives who do need to communicate transparently, like things aren't going how we thought they were going to go. So XYZ is not going to happen. However, if you're not going to give bonuses to people, you don't get a bonus, right? If you're an executive, your bonus goes first. Your salary gets cut first. If she can survive on $300,000 a year, which is still a ridiculously nice salary, she should cut her salary to that and give everybody bonuses, right? So I think that there's something to be said for, first of all, you need to be sensitive. You also need to be transparent, and you also need to be the one that takes the hit first.
Wow, that's pretty bold. I don't know if I would even go that far, but I might.
That's the way that I lead my company, right? So I'm the first one that takes the financial hit every time. And that's the way that I'll always be, right? Like everyone else comes first because I have that servant leadership approach, but she doesn't, obviously. But I think that, maybe that's an extreme take and a lot of executives would disagree. However, I think this is the way of the future, right? It's business of the future. Like that's the way that the world is supposed to work, because your customers come first and then your employees come first and then you come last, even though you're leading.
And CEOs, you always read these studies where CEOs are making 300 times more than the average worker at their own company. So
Yeah,
yeah.
literally, it says in the article that the average CEO makes, where is it? Because it's a crazy number. 399 times more than the average worker. That's
I mean, it didn't used to be
crazy.
anything like that
It's
back in the day.
crazy.
Yeah. Right.
Insane.
Like maybe if they made, I don't know, 20 times more, you would think that was a lot. And it's so
Yeah.
much more than that.
Yeah, it's insane. If I were just going to put a button on it, I say that this story really sort of highlights the need for C-suite executives in today's day and age to be a little bit more delicate and sensitive, right? In terms of their both internal and external communications about any economic related impacts to their companies, et cetera. Because yeah, it's a weird time in the world, but like it's still, at the end of the day. And the other thing, there was another example in the story that was kind of interesting of the CEO of the marketing firm Hypersocial, and he apparently, after he laid people off, posted a video of himself on social media crying.
Yeah.
Now, again, okay, so yes, you can cry if you lay people off, but not in public and not in front of the employees, because they were the ones laid off, not you.
Right. That's not
like,
leadership from
No, don't post, and then you're like trying to get the attention, even though you're not laid up. Like, don't do that.
Right.
So
Right.
no, there's no crying in public. As the CEO has to yes, you probably should cry and you should be sad because it's horrible. But like, don't do that because it's not about you.
Right.
And then also, yeah, I would just say, you can't get frustrated with other people getting frustrated about the financial piece of it, but I think you can diffuse it a little bit if you're a little more transparent. And also if you're able to go in front of your company and say, hey, like, I know we're not getting bonuses, but I'm the first to go and I cut my salary by 400%. Like, that inspires a lot of confidence that they don't think that you're just in it for themselves and like they're the first ones to get the shaft. The shaft, who says that? Like a throwback. Like, how old am I?
The thing that really got me, in addition to everything that you just said, she was so unlikable. And we talk about in PR, in any industry, you have to be able to communicate to different audiences.
Yeah.
And I don't know what audience would have taken what she had to say very well, because it was so sing-songy, passive aggressive, like just hateful, both from coming out of her mouth and like the energy that she was going to get back. I hated her. And I don't say that. She just reminded me of all of the horrible people I've worked for. And like I said before, it makes me maybe even madder because she's a woman. And like, it's just like, oh no, you just like threw us back until, Suits with the shoulder pad era. It's like was Margaret Thatcher, the prime minister again? What is going on? Like, you don't have to act like a complete a-hole if you're a woman in charge. Stop it. Can't you be like
killing me?
Like, and I'm certainly no femme female, but like, can't you lead with empathy?
I think you mean femme fatale.
Well, I am that.
Okay.
No, but like no empathy.
I am that.
And I'm going to say, as a woman with no like grounding, it was, if you were the CEO and making millions, you need to get your in training and learn how to speak to all the different audiences professionally and organically and authentically, just like we've been talking. And she did none of it.
Okay.
I also pitched Noel once at a PR agency, and it was horrible. They were just horrible.
Really?
Very snobby. It was almost as if we had like walked into, I don't know, the Louvre with the Parisians talking about, their most finest works of art. And it's like, you guys make chairs that cost too much. Like, relax. I mean, it's the design world, it is. And the woman we spoke to was perfectly manicured, dressed, everything. And she was super cutting edge, cool. I mean, this is going back a long time, like the 90s probably. Spot on, like New York, almost like she was an Anna Wintour of business. Now, it's not this woman, and I don't know what happened to her, but I remember being like, oh God. Like,
so she's on brand for the company.
Yes, she was. And so there's probably a problem with the company culture. Exactly.
Okay. Well, we got to the bottom of that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
All the way around, 360. Back to the beginning. Thank you, Laura.
I've been around long enough.
With that, should we close out on that sort of sour note? Do you have anything you want to add that's more bubbly before we?
No, I want
have
to
a-
end on a sour note. Once in a while, that's what has to happen.
What, you a jazz fan? What is this?
There's my jazz hands.
Oh, that was like a big dig at jazz. Okay.
Thank you for tuning in for the PR Wind Down podcast. And thank you to Megan and Patrick for joining us for a really great interview.
Mhm.
Remember to submit your own agency stories and questions and to share our show with your friends and colleagues because they need to hear this.
Yes, they
It's
do.
important. If you subscribe and leave us a rating, it will help us to reach new listeners like you or even better than you,
No, there's nobody better. Than
as
you.
good as you. But ultimately, we cannot wait and to wind down with you again next time.
Did you say cannot?
We cannot wait.
We cannot wait. Who says that?
I do.
Okay, Laura
We
Schooler.
cannot wait.
Cannot
We
wait.
Can't? What is we can? What is can't? That's not even a good contraction. That's cannot.
I know. Can't.
It's not cannot. It's cannot.
Okay. The grammar lesson brought to you by Laura Schooler, who's schooling you in grammar.
We cannot wait to wind down with you again. Does that even make
Next time.
sense?
Okay, I think we can wrap now.
Okay. Bye, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
I love that you did jazz hands. Wait, did you ever do jazz?
No.
Yes, you did.
No.
You did it?
No.
Oh my God. All right. Someday I'm going to do my jazz routine from when I was a kid for you. It's going to be amazing.
I'm sure you will.
I want to dance with somebody.
Oh my God. It's like the worst song in the history of ever.
Yeah. Every time it comes on, I'm like, do you want to see my jazz routine from this song? And
And
whether
that
people say
video,
yes
if
or
you
not,
rem-
it still happens.
If you remember, Whitney Houston in that video couldn't dance a lick. Like she was like she was the worst. She's anyway, good singer, not my thing, but horrible dancer. Okay.
Okay. All right. I made it bubblier. I took it out of jazz.
Thank you.
You're going to do the closing since I have frog voice.
I'm doing the whole closing.
I mean,
again.
I can do it. I just think I sound like
Why don't you just do the
I
first
try?
line?
Okay.
Do the first line.
Should I make it sound croaky impossible on
Just
purpose?
Say it.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in for the PR Wind Down podcast.
Oh God, that was horrible. Let me
I
do it.
told you.
Thank you for tuning in for the PR Wind Down podcast.